Huge breaking news this Tuesday afternoon coming directly from the horse's mouth. Tottenham Hotspur have tweeted that they have agreed an £150 million capital increase with key stakeholders in ENIC. I don't really know exactly what this means either, but what I can confirm is that it means money for Conte to spend on his squad. Dan says, ENIC putting their own money in the club. Am I dreaming? Dan, no, you are not. Shauna says, we've been waiting for this moment for forever. Now it's happening. We have. Joe Lewis is putting his hand into his pocket and has committed £150 million to Tottenham Hotspur for, as they put it, greater financial flexibility and the ability to further invest on and off the pitch. This is a huge moment for Spurs, a massive turning point, and as you say, one that we have been waiting for so long. We'll read through the club announcement, we'll get through the pieces of it, we'll look at the initial reaction to this from journalists. Alistair Gold and Fabrizio Romano have already tweeted about it. Kieran says, a smile on my face right now. Hilsey says it's happening. Desiree says, I can't quite believe it. It's mind-blowing. It is absolutely mind-blowing. But look, let's go through the statement from Spurs to start off. They've said, Tottenham Hotspur Limited, the club, or Spurs, has today, Tuesday 24th of May 2022, agreed a capital increase of up to £150 million from majority shareholder ENIC Sports Incorporated via the issue of convertible A shares and accompanying warrants. Again, it's a lot of jargon. I'm not really sure what the nitty-gritty bit of it means, but it means that Tottenham will have extra money to spend on and off the pitch, extra money for Antonio Conte to spend on players. We've heard from Alistair Gold, we heard from so many different journalists that Tottenham are ready to back Antonio Conte. Tottenham are ready to commit to the transfer market, and this is the definitive proof we have been waiting for, the definitive proof, to be honest, a lot of us didn't quite expect to get. It is absolutely massive from them. They go on to say, the equity injection provides the Premier League club with greater flexibility, with greater financial flexibility and the ability to further invest on and off the pitch. The investment represents permanent capital with no ongoing interest cost to the club. Very, very important there as well. And which may be drawn in tranches until the end of the year. The club's independent directors have benefited from its majority shareholders' ability to invest directly, swiftly, and without the extensive due diligence and documentation involved in third-party funding. So this, for me, from reading that, we've heard, we spoke about, was it last night or the night before, about Antonio Conte wanting signings to be made quickly. He reportedly wants 6 signings to be made before we go on our pre-season tour to South Korea. Well, this helps that. This allows Tottenham to spend that money more quickly, to keep out the third party, to leave ENIC out of these negotiations and stuff like that. Under the agreed structure, the A shares can be converted into ordinary shares, blah, blah, blah. It goes into a lot of jargon and talks about ENIC. Daniel Levy has put out a statement in this as well. He has said, the delivery of a world-class home was always a key building block in driving diversified revenues to enable us to invest in the teams and support our ambitions to be consistently competing at the highest levels of European football. Additional capital from ENIC will now enable further investment in the club at an important time. And that's the key bit. This is such an important time for Tottenham. Again, the reports are saying Tottenham know they're at a crossroads. They know how important this summer is, and they're, from this, fully committed to backing Antonio Conte. Bobsper says, do our targets change at all? Personally, don't think they do. Just means getting more than might be achievable. Look, for me, in the sense of the Premier League, we're not going to catch up to Liverpool and City next season. We're not. But, and people talk about a title charge, I hope to God you're right. I personally can't see it. But getting back into Europe, there's reason to believe the naming rights situation could be solved in the coming weeks, coming months as well, which again stems from qualifying for Champions League. And the important thing there that Daniel Levy has mentioned is he wants to support our ambitions. By the way, ambition, a key word that Antonio Conte has been looking for from Tottenham Hotspur. It's come out of Daniel Levy's mouth. But the ambitions to be consistently competing at the highest levels of European football. Well, maybe qualifying for Champions League was a key factor in Tottenham being able to secure this additional funding from ENIC. Just to reiterate, £150 million capital increase pledged by ENIC. Jonathan Turner, the independent non-executive director of Tottenham, said, we are pleased to welcome this investment, which demonstrates the unequivocal support and commitment of our majority shareholder, ENIC. It is a timely injection of funds to ensure we can continue to grow the club we all love and underlines the board's continued ambitions for success. 2 key words for Conte, ambition and success. And it's come, again, at a fantastic time. We take a look at what Fabrizio Romano has said. He said this is huge for Tottenham, reiterating the club statement. And he has said, Fabrizio Romano has said, that's going to be key for Antonio Conte's future too. So Conte need a confirmation. We know Conte at the moment is enjoying the end of season holiday. He's gone off to Italy to relax. I hope he has the most fantastic week of his life. But this is massive for the future of Antonio Conte. I had people asking me yesterday on Twitter, I think it was Zoe, if you're in the chat, good to see you, Zoe. Is Conte's future at Tottenham, is he close to leaving? I personally don't think he was ever close to leaving, maybe around the time of the Burnley defeat at Turf Moor. But in recent weeks, I don't think he was ever close to leaving. To be honest, I don't really think it was something that was even on his mind. Maybe he knew this was coming. Maybe he thought this was a possibility, but it is now confirmed. And as Romano says, this is going to be absolutely key for Antonio Conte's future. Paul O'Keefe is just talking as well there on Twitter, speaking to Ellis, another good supporter of the channel, says this is a capital investment, which is working capital, meaning it frees up money in other areas like transfer payment negotiation. So Fabio Paratici, if he's going to be the one negotiating for these transfers, if it's going to be Daniel Levy, they're going to have a lot more freedom to negotiate with this stuff. And Jack Pipbrook from a couple of months ago told us that Tottenham are willing to pay a club record fee to bring in a left-sided centre-back. Maybe this money could go a long way in bringing Alessandro Bastoni to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. And I think we will know so much more in 4, 5, 6 weeks, because Conte wants this stuff to get done early. To everyone who's subscribing, thank you very much. I do appreciate it, Robbie and TP8 Gaming. This is absolutely huge. It really is. Harrison says, is this just out of our pocket and then our normal investment and cash from the Premier League and being in the UCL, does this add up? So it's just an extra 150 million. So I'm sure ENIC have their own, annual commitments to how much they can put into the football club. But this is an extra 150 million pounds. And a couple of months ago, we started getting these articles. I think it was around the time of the takeover at Newcastle, and they were saying Newcastle do have quite a bit of wiggle room with financial fair play because of how careful Mike Ashley was with his money towards the end of the time there. Tottenham were right at the bottom of that list with the most money that could be spent on without breaking financial fair play rules. I think we have a wiggle room of something like £300 million. And the fear there was always, well, that's well and good, but we're not going to have that money to put into the team. But again, ENIC have announced, or Tottenham have announced, a £150 million cap. I keep saying it just to try and make it more real in my own head, because it's absolutely fantastic. Again, so important for Conte. Michael Bridge, a good friend of the channel, we'll have an announcement regarding him in a couple of minutes, says this is huge news coming out of Tottenham Hotspur, adds weight to the feeling finishing top 4 this season had extra significance. As I said there, it seems as though qualifying for top 4 has been the kind of the beginning of this, and has allowed it to actually get over the line, which is absolutely huge for Spurs. I'm trying to see some of the response to the tweets. So Paul O'Keefe as well saying Joe Lewis and Tottenham are getting serious. And again, Daniel Levy saying additional capital from ENIC will now enable further investment in the club at an important time. Absolutely massive. The excitement in the comments, the excitement in the quote tweets is absolutely exceptional. Spurs are getting serious. Alistair Gold has said, also worth pointing out that if the £150 million is used in full before the end of this year, then ENIC's ownership of Spurs would increase from 85.6% to 87.5%. So unsurprisingly, a little bit of something in this for ENIC as well. So if that 150 million is used in full before the end of 2022, their ownership of the club will increase realistically ever so slightly. But that's, maybe ENIC are going to be encouraging Tottenham more than ever to spend that £150 million. And look, we're going to get a lot of money to invest from transfers as well. If we sell Ndombele, we sell Lo Celso, Bergwijn, Lucas, Emerson, Reguilon, Rodon, whoever it is that does go out of the club, that money I personally think will be reinvested in the team as well. And now there's an extra £150 million to go on top of it as well. So let's look at Football.London, who've put up an article breaking this down. They say ENIC pumps £150 million into Tottenham to help fund Antonio Conte's summer transfer spree. And Alistair Gold's initial reaction to this was, there's the proof about the investment in Conte and backing Conte that he had been talking about. They say owners ENIC have pumped a £150 million cash injection into Tottenham Hotspur as they look to challenge under Antonio Conte next season. This is Alistair Gold. ENIC, owned by 85-year-old Joe Lewis, who is worth £4.3 billion according to the latest Forbes figures, have agreed a capital increase of up to £150 million with Spurs via the issue of convertible A shares and accompanying warrants. Again, I don't know what that means. It just means money. The club announced that the equity injection provides the Premier League club with greater financial flexibility and the ability to further invest on and off the pitch. They go on to, just quoting the statement there again. Um, and there's Daniel Levy's, Jonathan Turner. So it's mainly just quotes there from Alistair Gold, but just this is absolutely huge. And as Bobby says there, naming rights incoming within days, I reckon, build up that kitty. So we have £150 million coming from Enoch. We have the Premier League prize money for finishing in the top four. We have Champions League money coming in next year. If we get out of the group stage, that could be worth up to £100 million for the club. And then on top of that, naming rights, which, like I said, there's reason to believe this could be something that'll be done in the coming weeks and coming months. So the big thing for me is Todd Klein, the commercial director at Spurs, who was brought in to do the naming rights situation, has been building up a profile for himself on Twitter over the last couple of weeks. He's been interacting with fans, but also getting into the top four will be absolutely huge for naming rights. You know, whatever it is, people are going to pay more money to sponsor a stadium that will be playing Champions League football. Now, for us, we'll still always call it White Hart Lane. It's always going to be White Hart Lane to us. But for a company to have their name on a stadium like that will generate a lot of money for Tottenham as well. And Todd Klein came in from doing similar jobs in the NFL with the Miami Dolphins, if I'm not mistaken. So he has experience doing this as well. Rude LB says, just clicked in, what does this even mean? So for anyone who has missed the beginning of it, seeing who's there on Heritage potentially, we'll take a look at that in a second. So for anyone who has missed this, essentially Tottenham have confirmed a £150 million capital increase from majority shareholders Enoch. So basically, Enoch have freed up £150 million and given it to the club. So as are the owner, they are essentially separate entities. They freed that up and given it to the club, which basically means we have more freedom to spend that money, and it's also it's going to be easier to spend it. So we don't need negotiations with a third party and all that fancy paperwork to get things over the line. So this has been given to Tottenham to spend, I assume, into Fabio Paratici's back pocket so that he can go out and make things happen. The news there on Ivan Perisic, which Fabrizio Romano, I assume, has said on his Here We Go podcast, Tottenham and Chelsea are waiting for Ivan Perisic to make a decision. Tottenham have approached the player. Ivan Perisic's agent said earlier today that they have received an important approach from abroad. It could be Tottenham, it could be Chelsea, but Fabrizio Romano saying both Spurs and Chelsea are waiting for Ivan Perisic to make a decision. I believe he's in talks with Inter Milan this week or next week to see if they can agree a contract extension. Otherwise, he'll be on his way out, and Tottenham are willing to pick up the pieces from there. So I just didn't think here, it's actually £440 million Tottenham can spend without breaking financial fair play rules. We're not going to get near that realistically, but we're £150 million closer to it than we were this morning. Bedknobs and Broomsticks with the super chats says, keep up the great work, Matt. I really appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. It's not often I jump on an impromptu stream with nearly 500 viewers after 13 minutes, so I really do appreciate the support. And again, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm struggling to fully register this at the moment. Just to reiterate what Daniel Levy said, he's told us that the delivery of a world-class home was always a key building block in driving diversified revenues to enable us to invest in the teams and support our ambitions to be consistently competing at the highest level of European football. Bradley says, having the money is one thing, but spending it correctly is the main thing. And look, absolutely. It's absolutely the main thing. You know, we've seen Everton spend as close to £500 million in the last 5 or 6 years, and they needed to wait until the second last day of the Premier League season to confirm their safety. So it's not just a case of having money and spending it well. That's why I personally think Pep Guardiola deserves more credit than he gets at times. I mean, look, of course, he's seen as one of the best managers ever, but the people who completely disregard his achievements at Manchester City because he spent so much money, I think it's ridiculous. You still need to spend the money well, and you still need to put together a team that, in his case, can get 90 to 100 points a season. But another reason why I think this has come now, and I go back to that summer of 2019 where we spent it was around this amount, around £150 million on transfers, and to be honest, it didn't really do anything. You know, Ndombele and Celso were hoping we sell this summer. Sessegnon potentially turning around, but Jack Clark just off the back of another loan in the League One as well. That didn't work out very well, and I think to some extent that may have made Daniel Levy a bit reluctant to invest money in the squad again anytime soon. But he's now brought in Fabio Paratici, who in 6, 7, 8 transfers, however many players he's brought in. He's brought in Christian Romero, he's brought in Dejan Kulusevski, and he's brought in Rodrigo Bentancur. So he knows how to spend the money. He knows what he's doing. And Antonio Conte, typically, not exclusively, but typically does do very well with his signings. I think he brought Alvaro Morata to Chelsea, who definitely wasn't his best signing. I mean, had a very good half a season there where he was heading in any cross that came into the box from Cesar Azpilicueta. But these are two men who know the type of player that they need. Outside of ability, I think that's where Poch failed as well. He didn't. He just looked at ability, which Ndombele and Lo Celso have in abundance, but in terms of mentality and adaptability to the Premier League, it wasn't quite there. Paratici and Conte seem to know how to do that. They seem to know who they want and who they need, and I do think this money will be spent very, very well. Some other news, there's plenty of transfer news today, so we're going to be live again at 7 this evening to do a full transfer roundup. To give you a few headlines, Fraser Forster is having a medical at Spurs this week, and Dejan Kulusevski will not be made permanent this summer, so we'll talk a lot more about that at 7 p.m. So make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already, to make sure you get the best of that stream as well. We'll be going more in depth on that stuff later on. Let's see what other questions we have in here. Gary says, does that money cover Romero's and Kulu's permanent contract? So look, we will be spending £40 million on Christian Romero this summer. I assume maybe that could cover some of that, but like I mentioned there, Kulusevski will not be made permanent this summer. And again, we'll talk more about that later, but I would assume a lot of that money, well, just under a third of that money is going to making Christian Romero a permanent Spurs player. Corey says Mbappe walking through the door tomorrow. That's the dream. That's the dream. Imagine that happened. Bobby says, despite what clearly seems like some progressive news, we do need to be careful and not expect too much. Small steps to hopefully greatness. Look, absolutely. Like I mentioned already, I'm not expecting us to be competing with Manchester City and Liverpool in the Premier League tomorrow. It's just that's not the way it works. We still need, like was mentioned there, for that money to be invested properly. But it's a massive step in the right direction, Bobby. And I'm sure you realise that. It is an absolutely massive step in the right direction. And it's the first time this has ever happened under ENIC. We've went the easy way in every transfer market, bar 2019, where we just haven't quite spent the money. We know that Tottenham's philosophy in the transfer market is to buy younger players who have a value increase coming, who we can sell for more further down the line. I mean, the perfect example of that is Luka Modric. Dele Alli in the end didn't quite work out to be that player, but ultimately when we signed him, I'm sure that was what was in mind. We're hearing that it's going to be different under Antonio Conte, that we're going to sign players who are ready for now, who are ready to go straight into that first team. Again, I was talking to Michael Bridge, so I will actually have a video out with Michael Bridge from Sky Sports News tomorrow. So for channel members, that'll be out at 12 p.m. For everyone else, it'll be out at 7 p.m. We'll run a few clips on the transfer stream tonight. And I forget where I was going with. Yeah, so he was saying that 5 or 6 first team players is what we could be buying, not just 5 or 6 players, but 5 or 6 players who are ready to go straight into that first team. And that's a massive change from Spurs. They are changing that philosophy. I'm sure this was in the works when they came to that decision. So hopefully all these bits add up, and again, the naming rights hopefully soon as well. Hopefully all these bits add up all around the place, and Tottenham have a huge kitty for the summer ahead. Cody says, am I dead? I hope not, Cody. I hope not, but I'm sure it certainly feels like it at the moment. ENIC spending money. Who would have thought it? Anish says, hello Matt, I'm from G Just Juve. You have Romero, who was previously a Juventus player. I think you should take Luca Pellegrini and Rabiot if you like. Anish, welcome to the channel. Absolutely massive fan of Pepe, I am. So thank you very much for coming over. I don't know much about Pellegrini and Rabiot, but I'm going to trust you if you say they're good players, that we can take them. We enjoy taking your players, with of course Bentancur and Kulusevski as well. So I hope we'll be coming in with some big offers in the summer for your best players. Gary says, love your channel, Matt, and love hearing all the transfer news. Only believe the news that you bring. Keep up the great work. Thanks very much, Gary. I really do appreciate that. Your support is incredible. Coach Silva says, Conte spends well and often not on big signings. Let's hope this is to make us more attractive and ENIC are selling up. That is also potential. I think we said that when they started investing in the stadium and in the training ground, that to some extent it felt as though ENIC were bumping up the price of the club so that they could sell. It was kind of a 50-50 split, where some people thought they were building things up to sell, others thought they were building it all up to do what they're doing now. And that was always more of a hope than an expectation. But they've done the work off the pitch. that never matters unless you do it on the pitch. And it looks as though ENIC are starting that journey, hopefully only starting that journey with this announcement today. Marilyn says 600 watching, only 43 likes. Please do smash that like button down below if you are surprised by ENIC pledging £150 million to Tottenham. Please do hit that like button down below. I'm going to use this for my own benefit. Of course I am. Jide says Bastoni 60 mil, Perisic free, Wilfried Singo 30, Eriksen or John McGinn, Gabriel Jesus. And look, it from this point of this money being pledged, Bastoni, Perisic, Singo, Eriksen or McGinn, and Gabriel Jesus seems like a very, very realistic window. Seems like absolutely dope, and that is the mentality shift that is going to be here, and Conte is going to know that. Of course, Conte is going to know that. So that window with Bastoni 60 million looks like it could. Before today looked like it could, take away the potential to invest money elsewhere. But all of a sudden, we get Bastoni for 60 million, we spend that 40 million on Romero, we still have 50 million extra cash to invest, we still have whatever the initial budget was, and then we have, I'm running out of and thens because we'll have it on top of that, the money we get from players being sold, the Premier League prize money, and potential naming rights situations that Spurs can sort this summer. I love the mentions of Bastoni. Danny says, Matty, Bastoni is possible. Come on. Look, I sat here last night or the night before and I said I'd love for Bastoni to happen. It's not impossible, but I don't see it happening. I think I'm going to have to change my mind now. I'm going to say it. I think Alessandro Bastoni, when the transfer window closes on the 1st of September, I think Alessandro Bastoni will be a Tottenham player. And I got a shiver down my spine saying that, because anyone who watches this channel knows I've been beating the Bastoni drum since last summer, since before we got Romero. I've wanted Bastoni, I've loved Bastoni, and it's so possible. It is so possible. Fabio Paratici and Antonio Conte absolutely love him. Key thing is that Bastoni loves Conte. We've said it so many times on this channel, and I'm sure the regular viewers are sick of hearing me say it, but Conte made Bastoni the player he is today. He gave him his first minutes at Inter Milan. When Conte went into Inter, Bastoni was a kind of nothing centre-back who just come back from a loan at Parma, and Conte put him on the left side of that three-back and made him the best in that role in the world for me. Better than Pau Torres, better than Sven Botman, better than Nico Schlotterbeck, better than Ben Davis. So hopefully Bastoni will come in. It will mean so much to me into this club if we can get that done. Like I said, I think if we end up next season with a defence of Cuti Romero, Eric Dyer and Alessandro Bastoni, that for me is immediately better than the Belgian wall. It's better than Alderweireld and Vertonghen. And I absolutely adore Alderweireld and Vertonghen. I get to watch Alderweireld at work when he's playing for Al Duhail. I absolutely love the two of them so much. But I think quality-wise, and let's not forget the ability for Bastoni and Cuti Romero to develop into better defenders, because let's just get their ages here. They're young, and that's the thing with this change of philosophy from getting young players whose value increases to getting players that are ready for now. There is a way to balance that. And Christian Romero is only 24. He's just turned 24. Alessandro Bastoni, I believe, is younger. He's 23. We can get those two, who right now are some of the best in their leagues in Europe in those positions. Look how much they can develop and how much Antonio Conte will be able to make them so much better. It is absolutely... I'm getting so excited here just talking myself through this, to be honest, because like I mentioned yesterday, I really didn't think that Bastoni was a realistic option, and I didn't think that we would be able to get him in, but this changes everything. It changes absolutely everything. Adam says Dyer won't be a guaranteed starter. Need to get Bremer or De Vrij to compete with him. And look, that's the thing. We can go out and get two centre-backs. I think Gleison Bremer is going to Inter Milan. Maybe he's a replacement for Alessandro Bastoni. We don't know. Everyone said when Bremer won the Serie A Defender of the Year the other day that, that was... it was set in stone that he was coming to Spurs, and following the very specific path that Christian Romero had created before him. I think Gleison Bremer will go there, but maybe he's a replacement for De Vrij. We just don't know. This changes everything, and it's not entirely impossible that Paratici already has things lined up. It's not entirely impossible that when the window opens the 10th of June, that he can just press a button and we have 2-3 signings to announce. I mean, Fraser Forster, I think, will be done this week. He's having his medical at Tottenham again. We'll discuss that in a lot more detail later. Reese Wilkinson with a super chat. Thank you so much for that, Reese. Says Don Matt Hayes, that is the name. Come on, new Spurs. Look, I I will happily concede the Don title to the man himself, Fabio Paratici, but I also won't stop anyone else from using it. So I really do appreciate that, Reese. Thank you so much. But there could be things lined up. Maybe, just maybe, they were waiting for this cash injection to be confirmed before they go out and finalise those deals. We know Paratici likes to work on things behind the scenes. We got the here we go for Brian Hill within, I think, 2 hours of actually first hearing. There was discussions going on there with Fraser Forster. It was so long, Sam Johnston was the smokescreen. All of a sudden it was Forster, and it's the same happened with Kulusevski and Bentancur. That kind of came out of nowhere. We thought last summer we were getting Takahiro Tamiyasu, and we ended up with Emerson Royale. Navin says we've missed the flag. We got the flag right here. Don't worry, this flag is always around. This flag is always around. The man that's being backed at Spurs, Antonio Conte. The Don Antonio Conte being backed by Fabio Paratici. We got the flag back around the shoulders. I felt I kind of missed it as well, I won't lie. Carl says signings are going to be coming in fast. They absolutely are. They are. I think we will. I don't think we're going to get 6 in before the preseason tour to South Korea in July. I also think Antonio Conte doesn't expect that. I don't think he's going to absolutely demand that we get that many signings in. I think that's unrealistic, and he knows that's unrealistic. But if he asks for 6 or 7, we may end up with 3 or 4, which is more than we've ever gotten at that stage of the window. And I do think Fraser Forster is one of those which, isn't a first team signing. He's a backup goalkeeper. He's going to allow Pierluigi Collini to head back to Atalanta, but it's a signing nonetheless. And again, we're starting to see these little bits of change for ENIC. And look, you know what? We can't afford to fully buy into this and to fully invest ourselves in it, because we've been here before. The amount of times I've sat in this channel, I was like, this time it's different. This summer it's different. ENIC had changed. It's not as simple as that. I do think there will still be some shortcomings. They're not perfect. Of course they're not perfect. And I've sat here before and I've called for them to sell the club. I've called for Daniel Levy to resign. I've had my ENIC out banners, but I always said that was a reflection of where the club were at that time. I backed and supported them all the way through Mauricio Pochettino. I definitely changed my opinion on them quite a bit when they got Antonio Conte. And look, now if this is what it seems to be, ENIC in. I do think that, but I'm not going to fully commit to that. I'm not going to fully say that they're the perfect people for this club. I don't trust them enough to I don't trust them enough to say that this is absolute change. This is absolutely different. I could say it, I don't believe it. I don't. There is still the potential for shortcomings here, and we do need to be very, very wary of that. But if I had to pick a time over the last 10 years while I've been supporting this club, if I had to pick a time for them to invest, if it was under Harry Redknapp when he got us to the quarterfinal of the Champions League, if it was under Mauricio Pochettino when he got us to the final, if it was under Jose Mourinho, or if it was now with Fabio Paratici and Antonio Conte, I think for all of us, all 870 of you watching the stream right now, if you had to pick a moment for them to just invest and to fully back this football club and the manager, it would be now. And that's, maybe they've realised that as well. Like I said, they know we're at a crossroads this summer. They know things need to change, and it is last chance saloon for them. If we ended up with Antonio Conte and we didn't back him and we didn't give him what he wanted in the market, and after getting us into the Champions League from the position we were in, and then we didn't back him and we threw that away, get out of here. That would be the end. That would be the end for ENIC. But I think things are changing. I do think things are changing. I absolutely love this. Brian Daigle, who is an absolute living legend, I love that man, has tweeted and says, so it has taken a long time, but finally we have got what we were protesting for, investment. Our voices have been heard. People think I won't give credit where it is due, and for this I do give ENIC and Levy the credit. This is a huge step forward. And he goes on to say, all I've ever wanted is a successful Tottenham Hotspur. We may agree or disagree on our opinion of the owners. People that know me know I am a man of my word, which he absolutely is and will always be. And where I've been man enough to criticise, I'm also man enough to give to credit. This deserves praise. So Brian Daigle massively praising the investment there from ENIC. Mad says Bastoni has been confirmed by the Hayes. Unfortunately not. I wish I could sit here and say Bastoni will definitely be signing for Spurs. There's no information on that. I just personally think with this investment and how much we know the club admire Bastoni, I think it's one that they could get over the line. But we're unfortunately far away from any sort of confirmation. David Harris, the Irish Hotspur in the house, says, "What a day for our club. I am buzzing. I am absolutely as well, David. So good to see you in the live chat, my friend. I've also seen your WhatsApp message. I'll get back to you after the stream." So We Are Tottenham TV have also said ENIC have financed £15 million into the club between 2010 and 2020. This is a big step for Spurs and the ownership in such a crucial summer. Important to note, it is still not on the level as other owners, but it's definitely a great start, and that's absolutely fair as well. Could be in for a very exciting summer. Look, this is the most positive, the most optimistic, and the best I've ever felt as a Spurs fan. Dark Sung Ji, it's an absolutely incredible thing. This is a game-changing thing for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. I've never been this optimistic, this positive, and I even think I would have said that before this investment, before this £150 million was pledged, because we have Conte, because we're back in the Champions League. But adding money to that is madness. Derek talking about Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, that maybe we might start scoring direct from free kick. Actually haven't seen anything on Milinkovic-Savic. I think Man United were interested, but I'm not too sure if that's one that Tottenham are looking at. But yeah, this is a very defining moment, for Tottenham Hotspur. And again, Arsenal losing 2-0 to Newcastle could be the reason that this has happened, because if they hadn't, we would be in the Europa League, and you really start to wonder just where things would have gone. So to Arsenal Football Club, for bottling the top four, for backing a manager who simply does not know what he is doing, who relies on players that have previously thrown the captain's armband on the floor and ripped off their jersey in protest, for backing a defender like Ben White, who for some reason you compare to Christian Romero, for being the club that we all knew you were, and for bottling it in a way that only you know how. Thank you very much, Arsenal Football Club, because without you, this wouldn't have happened. So we appreciate it. What a day. What a day. Let's hope it continues. Let's hope the positivity goes on, and let's hope this isn't just a short-lived moment of brief ecstasy. Let's hope it continues, and let's hope it continues with Alessandro Bastoni in a Spurs jersey. Let me know in the live chat if you want us to sign him. And it's 32 minutes of me rambling absolutely aimlessly, and we've nearly 1,000 people watching me do it. Absolute madness. Please do. Cody says, "Twist the knife, Maddie. Stomp on their grave." Let's get a thank you, Arteta. Let's get it in the chat. Let's get a thank you, Arteta, in the live chat. Let's let him know what he did for our football club. Everything he learned under Pep Guardiola has been for this moment. So let's get a thank you, Arteta, in the live chat. I absolutely love it. And while you are typing, please do make sure to scroll down and hit that like button down below. We are currently on 274 likes, so let's get that up. We've nearly 1,000 watching. Let's get that up to 400. I know all of you can do that. I love this thank you, Arteta, in the live chat. Please do subscribe as well if you haven't already. We're closing in on 13,000 subscribers. We're about 25 off at the moment. So it would be absolutely fantastic if we could hit that landmark today. Which, with this news and with the interest in it, I feel like we can. Bobby says, does this finally mean we'll get Damiao? Look, if it does, it's all worth it. Let's spend the full 150 million on Damiao. Rashad Chowdhury with the super chat. Thank you so much for that, Rashad. I really appreciate it. Says, just hope that Kulu and Romero loans are not included. Then we could spend huge this summer. Bastoni, Pau Torres, Jesus, Sterling, Tielemans, Dybala. It will be one of Bastoni and Torres, and we're not going to get Dybala from the latest reports. But yeah, the Kulusevski will not be made permanent this summer. So again, we'll be going into more detail on this later at 7 p.m. We'll be going live again. So Kulusevski will not be made permanent this summer. Romero will for £40 million. I would have to assume that that's been kind of valued into this, which is all right, because that's still £110 million more than we would have had. But thank you very much, Rashad, for the super chat. I really, really do appreciate it. Adam Phillips says we can finally afford Dybala's image rights. Maybe that's what this is all for. Leandro Damiao and Dybala's image rights. Excuse me. It would all be worth it. It would all be worth it. Thank you, Arteta. I love it. What an absolute fraud. Anyway, look, we will leave it there because I need to regain my composure and prepare for the stream later. So later on, we will be talking about Fraser Forster's medical, about Dejan Kulusevski not being made permanent this summer, about Tottenham's interest in Ivan Perisic and Alessandro Bastoni, and a few other bits as well. Kind of disappointed we didn't cross the 1,000 mark with viewers, but absolutely crazy numbers for a random impromptu stream. So thank you everyone for tuning in. David the Irish Hotspur says, great stream, Maddie. David, absolutely love you. Thank you so much for the support as well. I'm loving the Frauteta. Thank you, Arteta. Keep trusting the process. MCST says, does the £150 million include the Champions League money? So no. Just to reiterate again, for anyone who may have missed the news, Tottenham have confirmed a £150 million capital increase from majority shareholders ENIC, which in layman's terms essentially means that ENIC have freed up £150 million for the club to spend. So because they're separate entities, it seems as though the whole way through that if Tottenham are investing in a player, they needed to first get approval from ENIC for that money to then be given. So what this means is that there's 150 million just sitting in Fabio Paratici's wallet to so he can go and spend that however he sees fit, whenever he wants. So it's 150 million pounds extra cash that is Paratici's to use in the way that he wants. That doesn't include Premier League prize money, it doesn't include Champions League prize money, it doesn't include naming rights, it doesn't include any money that we may get from sales. It is 150 million pounds. Here you go, Tottenham Hotspur. And that is where the excitement is coming from. Carla says, thanks for the news, listening in from California. Love the channel, Carlos. Absolutely incredible sport. Let me know actually where everyone is watching from. Wherever in the world you are, please do let me know. I always love seeing where people are tuning in from. So we've got 900 people still in the chat. Let me know where you're watching from if anyone's in as luxurious as a place as Carlos is. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm in Limerick in Ireland. Hopefully not for too much longer, but we'll see how that goes. Lee says potentially over 200 million. It could be over 200 million once we get all the rest of the money into the squads. We got Mark watching from Ireland, Welsh Gal watching from Wales in Cardiff. We've Denmark, San Diego, Brighton, Arizona, Hungary, Derry, New Zealand. DJ Samuel in the home of the club in North London. We've got Malaga, Wales, Kent, India. Carlos Irish as well. I absolutely love it. I should have known it with the name. We've got Surrey, Leicester, USA, Chicago, Thailand, Essex, Australia, South Africa, London, Hong Kong, Sweden, North Carolina, New York City, London as well. Danny in Chicago too. Absolutely love the global support on the channel. Iowa, Netherlands, Reading, Houston, Mexico. Lisa, my absolute pleasure. We've got Korea and Hertfordshire for some of our channel members. London, Hong Kong, keep coming in. New York, India, Romania. Everyone, thank you so much for the support. I do massively appreciate it. Again, we'll be back later. But for now, Spurs are rich, and I hope we all enjoy it. Thanks so much for watching.